Magic that was about to make him very rich. That thought raised Kiri's spirits. He smiled and pointed to the left, following the direction of one of the magical trails. "That way, Trucker. You should find a way around the ore." Trucker raised a shovel-like paw, farted, and set off again. Kiri stood for a moment longer, looking at the magical trails. He also saw the outline of the cloaking spell his employers had given him to hide him from the powerful guards this place was supposed to have. Kiri was never one to turn down free magic, but he didn't think he would need the cloaking. If there was a place he couldn't sneak into, the universe hadn't shown him yet. They carried on through the darkness. Trucker carved a path through the dirt while Kiri followed, dreaming about what he would do with the money he was being paid for this heist, and trying not to worry about what his ruthless employers would do if he failed. Who needed a head anyway? A thud of falling dirt and a grunt from Trucker brought Kiri back into the moment. At last, open air was visible at the end of the tunnel, and a soft glow of magical light. Kiri switched off the flashlight and, under cover of his cloaking spell, squeezed past Trucker to peer out into the Kamana. It was a spectacular space, a vast cavern with buildings carved into its walls and ceiling, their balconies, steps, and doors protruding at angles that utterly defied gravity. Between them, trees and bushes thrust out in ways he was sure they shouldn't. A thick carpet of roots crisscrossed the ground his hole emerged from. Light seemed to emerge from the air itself, gently illuminating everything it fell on. Sure, some of that technology was coming through to Oriceran now, but not half as much as he would have liked. It must take a colossal amount of magic to do that and to make this place livable, but this Kamana didn't contain the giant crystal that powered every other one he'd been to. Instead, the tangle of roots thickened in the center of the cave, forming a tight knot where a brighter light shone. This was it. Kiri hooked the flashlight onto his belt, rubbed his hands in anticipation, and simultaneously quashed the fear that threatened to rise through him. Fear was a terrible leader, and not one he ever intended to follow. Sure, this was a step into the unknown. No, he had no idea who protected this place or what they could level against him. Still, he was a professional, and he'd prepared. A heavy tapping on his shoulder made him jump and spin with his fists raised. Trucker was squinting at him with what could have been a glare. "Oh, yeah," Kiri said. It didn't matter if he spoke. As long as he didn't scream or shout, the cloaking spell should hide him. He pulled a pouch of cash from inside his jacket and handed it to Trucker. "There. Happy now?" Trucker took the pouch's string between his teeth, turned, gave one last noxious fart, and started digging again. He'd vanished within seconds, leaving only an empty tunnel behind him. Time to get to it. Kiri hurried across the Kamana, climbing over the thickest roots and jumping over gaps where the tangle disappeared into the ground. His cloaking spell was starting to flicker. That shouldn't be happening. Better to get this over and done with quickly just in case. In a house on the Kamana's wall, Enfield of the Evermoors turned from his stove with a steaming kettle in hand. Something had entered the Kamana, a source of unfamiliar magic. He set the kettle down on the table and looked out the window. Sure enough, a gnome was crossing the Kamana from a hole between the roots. The gnome's cloaking spell might hide him in the world above, but it couldn't conceal him from the ancient power of the Evermoors, the power that protected this place. Enfield touched 2 fingers to his throat and thought about the words he wanted to send. In an instant, magic transported them to the Evermoors. Then Enfield stepped out of the window and dropped silently to the ground below. In the center of the Kamana, Kiri reached the tight cluster of roots from which light and magic glowed. He climbed up